So we're going to name the following alkene. What's really important to note is that when you are drawing out or writing out these answers on like Sapling or some sort of online learning platform, you need to use hyphens and not an end dash. Otherwise, even though you typed out the question or the answer correctly, if you used an end dash, it will assume you wrote in the wrong answer. So on to the PowerPoint. So like I said before, we need to take into account all of the decorations, the substituents. So we have the methyl group here. So 2 methyl groups again. This time we also have this chlorine substituent. And as well we have a 6-membered carbocycle. So this is cyclohexane. But it also has an alkene. So that's going to change your naming a little bit too. So now we want to include all of the substituents in giving them the smallest number, but we also need to include the alkene, both carbons of the alkene. So that takes higher priority over numbering all of the substituents. So we'll start this one as 1 because that is the beginning of the alkene and the methyl group, so that's 2 things taken care of. Now you might want to go this way and number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to include the chlorine as carbon 3 very quickly, but then you have left out the second carbon of the alkene, and the alkene takes priority. So then the second carbon of the alkene will be 2, and we're going to keep going around the cycle 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So now we have 2 different substituents to consider. We have the 2 methyl groups and the chlorine. Now, it may be tempting to write them out in numerical order, but you're actually going to go in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with 5-chloro, and then the methyl groups. So then it is 1,4-dimethyl. So C before D, so that's why the chloro is named first. And then we are in a cyclo hex, and it's ene. E-N-E is your ending here because of the alkene. So when it comes to the endings of your the names of your molecules, they're pretty straightforward. Like if you can remember an alkene ends in E-N-E, then that's how the name is going to end, with E-N-E. So one thing that I also just forgot to do is that you need to include the number of the alkene. So we're not quite done. One more thing. So 5-chloro, 1,4-dimethyl. Cyclo stays fine. Hex. And it starts at carbon 1, so you write 1-ene. It's important to include that number so that the best way to double check these sorts of questions is to see if you can draw the structure just based on the name alone. And if the structure you draw is the same as the one you just named, then you did it right.